Good morning, Sibusiso. Can you hear me?
Good morning. I can hear you very well. I can hear you
This
very
is
well.
amazing. It's like, you hold your breath and then you're trying to see, can I reach the top of the mountain with this one? All righty. So let's do that intro again. If you are joining us live on our screens, we have a special guest, none other than Sibusiso Vilane, who is a man who has quite literally stood on top of the world. All right, there's that background going a bit lower. And he is the first Black African to summit Mount Everest not once but twice, as we said. And he's an adventurer, motivational speaker, as well as an author of To the Top from Nowhere. He has since completed 7 summits, subhanAllah, and reached both the North and South Poles, becoming the first African to achieve the Explorer's Grand Slam. So this is quite an achievement. As I say this, my visual, you can just imagine what's happening in my mind. And we definitely want to know, because in a world where we are constantly faced with all of the uncertainties, where plans really do fall apart and the pressure builds, there's no such thing as certainty. How do you go forward? So we thank you again for your time this morning, Sibusiso, and welcome. And I want to I'll jump straight into the first question now, because I feel like we've connected with all of the remix that happened before. When you stood on top of that Mount Everest for the very first time, what was actually going through your mind? And did it feel like success at that moment, or did it feel like something deeper?
What was going through my mind? I'll have to replay the tape on that last few hundred meters, because we had a lot of uncertainties. We had been blown off the mountain 2 times, so we were on our third and final attempt to get to
Wow.
that, and the wind is still raging with storm heavily, and you're looking at the people in front of you stopping every now and then, and you think they might be calling us off not to continue. So that was the predominant thought in my mind, that it might be called off, but at the same time hoping that they don't call it such that. But when we eventually got to the last section, like 200 meters before the summit, then the shift changed, because I realized at that moment that I was about to stand at the summit of Everest. So my thinking at the
Wow.
time was about my background, was about where I come from, and the hurdles I'd had to face, and the challenges on the mountain itself. And then realizing that after all the fighting through it all, I was about to step on the highest point on earth. So that was quite profound, to be able to relive all of that within that short time when I was about to stand at the top. And now coming to the question, did it feel success like success? It wasn't just about success for me. It was fulfillment. It was a very fulfilling experience when I got to the top. It was a huge achievement for me. I would like to say at that moment, I felt that it was my lifetime achievement. I was age 33 at the time. So
Wow.
it had everything within it, from being a successful expedition or ambition and being a fulfilling one.
Oh, I can only imagine. Well done and congratulations. Such an
Thank you.
empowering and liberating feeling. I can only imagine, especially after listening to how you describe being blown off. And clearly, it's your perseverance that just kept you going. Now, as you've mentioned, I mean, you've operated in some of the most extreme conditions on Earth, basically. How do you personally manage pressure when the stakes are high and when there's actually no room for error?
Through the experiences and the situations I found myself in, both on the mountains, be it Mount Everest, both trying to cross an ice desert in Antarctica, where nature takes charge, nature takes control. You live by these wonderful words. I think they come from Mokapes, who says, "You have control over your mind, or you've got power over your mind, not outside events." That has taught me to never focus on the events themselves, but be adaptable and be flexible while I'm focusing on myself, being able to reignite the energy, the positive energy that I had when I left home to come to the expeditions. And when you tap into that self belief that this can still happen, this shall pass, as into the agony, that darkest hour will pass, and you just hang in there and you hold on, sort of get this, I'll say, a bit of comfort to say, you know what, it's okay, it's not all over yet, but I will get there. But it is just about focusing purely on you and what positive energy you can bring to yourself that will still make you stay the course. Because if you don't focus on you, you will definitely be focusing on events that you don't have an influence or anything that you can do about it. So it's a question of, why do you want to waste your time on that? You just need to be flexible and adaptable. I'm not saying you need to stay in the toughest of times or in the hard times or the darkest hour, but you should know that tomorrow will be better, and then you are able to rise up again.
Fantastic. No wonder you have managed to reach the top of the world. It's all here. And you have
It is.
clearly mastered that with everything that you've said, that the only power you have is internally, and everything is energy. So where focus goes, energy flows. You've put your focus on what you wanted to achieve, realizing that you can only go within, and that's where what the only thing you can control. And you
Yeah.
persevere. That is absolutely empowering and inspiring to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Now, when everything around you is actually unpredictable, Sibusiso, what are the mental habits or routines that actually help you to stay grounded and focused?
Just live one moment at a time, because when you're sitting in a tent for 8 hours and the mountain is raging with a storm, you don't know whether the next day you will either be alive or you will be able to come out of your tent and continue. The only way you can do is just to leave that 1 second at a time, leave that moment at a time. Try and stop yourself from wandering all over the place. Be in the moment and then while away the day by the hour. And it's amazing how what happens, because it eases off the frustrations of you having to think beyond that situation at that moment.
Yeah.
And obviously consistently reminding yourself, why are you in that situation?
Yes.
You there. If you decided to put yourself in that situation, then you ask yourself the reason, but why did you want to do it? When you remind yourself of that you are there to serve in the midst of it, are able to hold on. So those are the little that you learn on a mountain. And flexibility and adaptability. Never lose the hope and the positivity. It doesn't matter what you're going through at that moment in your time. You can never lose hope.
Can never lose hope, absolutely, because everything is possible if you believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, go back to your why. So your why has to be big enough. Fantastic. Now, Sibasi, so coming from humble beginnings, how did your upbringing actually shape the way you deal with challenges today?
My upbringing was very challenging, was very tough. I was brought up for maybe first 10 years of my life by my grandmother, and then my mother took over later up until I became sort of semi-independent, where I looked after myself. But from that childhood, because of realizing that in the parents were really not working together to see us through, I grew the self dependence. And self dependence to me meant that you are taking full responsibility of anything that you do and any result that you produce. And
Hmm.
as such, I depend on myself. And that is what it instilled in me, that you just need to take responsibility of everything, never play any blame game, but focus on you. If it doesn't go well, say, how did I do that? Not like so and so did it or anything. So that
Yeah.
is what my childhood brought to me. But obviously mental toughness, because it was really tough growing up. We endured weeks without food, days without food. Me and my sister, we had no clothes to wear. It just made me to be mentally tough. And being able to adapt to conditions like that, which has ultimately helped me to go and adapt in -20, -40 in other parts of the world, where none of
Wow.
my African brothers and sisters can survive. But it was because of my mental toughness and being able to adapt to a situation during that given period of time, knowing that one day I'll be over that.
You see, because you were focusing on one day, so you've definitely had clarity of where
Yeah,
you're going. I like that. It's all about the responsibility. You did not step into that victim's consciousness, and essentially that helped you then to really reach just to the top, the top of the world. Which
yeah,
I really wish many people can listen in and draw from that, because that's where real change comes from, not from sitting
yeah.
back and blaming others and hoping that life can change like that, but the change begins with you. For
It
someone actually
does.
listening in right now who feels stuck and also overwhelmed, what is one small mindset shift that you can actually share with them that they can make today to start moving forward?
Focus on the one little thing that you can do on at this moment in time. But the biggest for me is pause. If you're overwhelmed right now and you have a situation where you're facing this stuck at moment, just pause it. Go to a place where you can just disconnect and be able to be within yourself, be you. It may be a forced downtime as we would experience on the mountains, but that pause moment was the one that made us to be able to reset, refocus, and then bounce back. So I would say pause, rest, and then go and reflect, self-reflect, and reflect on the situation that you find yourself in now, and then find a way to say, do I really want to be still in it? Do I want to engage with this? Or I need to change things around me? And if you need to change things, what are you going to change to be able to refocus and then reset and continue going and continue doing what you had set out to do or achieve?
Absolutely. Self introspection is where your power lies, because only you can figure that out and know these are the muscles or areas that I actually need to hone into and to strengthen within myself. That's beautiful. Now, if resilience, Sibusiso, had a simple definition in your words, not from books or theory, what would it be?
It will be the relentlessness of the wave of the ocean. You know what the wave does, which I always find very inspiring and encouraging for me. It comes up and then it grows and then it crashes, it crumbles on the ground. Doesn't give up, it goes back again, it regroups, and then it comes back even much more stronger. And then that is resilience for me. It is just that relentlessness of getting up every time you fall. Never stay down for a long time, because you will definitely fall. But the question is to get up and continue. It is a choice.
It is a choice indeed, and there's the power that God actually gave us human beings. I love that analogy of using the wave. Now, when I look at the ocean, I'm definitely going to think about your wise words, because the ocean always has waves, so it never gives
Yeah.
up.
No.
Thank you so much for
No.
that. It's
Thank
been
you.
amazing chatting with you, and it's been absolutely inspiring to hear where you come from mentally, and that's basically, I think, the best muscle that we can really build is our mental strength. Thank you so much for your
It
time
is.
today,
Thank you
and we
very
wish
much indeed for having me. Thank you. Appreciate your
you
time too,
a pleasure. We
and
wish
the people listening and watching. Thank you.
and many more successes to you going forward into the future. Until then, bye for now.
Thank you very much indeed. Bye bye.
Sibusiso Vilane, I mean, if you're paying attention, seriously, everything comes from here. Everything. So I couldn't walk at one stage. My spine was fractured, 5 fractures. And everything he spoke about, I could resonate, because that's where your strength comes from. And, that is part of our deen. We should never lose hope. We should always do the self introspection. We should always be positive, and we should always know that however we believe Allah Azza wa Jal is to us, he will be with us. 11:48. Time really flies, hey, when you're enjoying the topic. But let's go for a break. I'll be back with you in a bit.